This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year we're saying thank you, therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories, millions of journeys, and behind every one is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take a step forward. Moments in therapy, like the right question, a safe space to cry, or a small win, can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible, while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This World Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. Next up, we got number 10 Georgia at Auburn, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. The storyline to know, Dalton, is Georgia on upset alert in the Deep South's oldest rivalry. So Georgia responded well to its loss to Alabama a couple weeks ago with a 35-14 win over Kentucky this past week. They now go on the road, though, to take on a 3-2 Auburn team in the Deep South's oldest rivalry. This is the 130th meeting between Georgia and Auburn, the second most in FBS history behind only Minnesota and Wisconsin. And Georgia, even though they're number 10 in the country and Auburn's 3-2 on the year, Georgia's still only 3.5-point favorites in this game, Dalton, according to DraftKings Sportsbook right now.
I think that's because Georgia, to be honest with you, has not all around played the cleanest football. I think defensively, obviously we've talked about the lack of pass rush. That I think has hurt them. Even Kentucky didn't, for their standards especially, they didn't look horrible on offense last week against Georgia. And offensively, you still get the feeling, and look, they scored 41 on Tennessee and won at Tennessee, but you still get the feeling that Georgia's trying to figure things out offensively with Gunnar Stockton and just what the ideal offense for them looks like. They want to run the ball with Nate Frazier and those guys. Chauncey Bowen's had a big week the last couple weeks, but I think there still feels like this element of Georgia right now where they're not complete yet. They're trying to still figure it out, but trying to figure it out through the gauntlet of an SEC schedule can be tough, and I don't think they've played up to their full potential yet. Now, neither has Auburn, especially their last two games. So you've got an interesting mix, and then as we know, this rivalry, it's always weird.
Yeah.
Every time you get a game that you think is going to be a blowout, then these two play close games, and then you think it's going to be a close game, and it's just, this is one of the weirder rivalries. So I think the spread kind of makes sense when you consider, if you look at just how these two teams are playing right now.
So you actually have the Auburn offense, which we know loves to run the football, but Georgia's run defense, Dalton, this year has been outstanding.
I'm going to answer that with, do they? Do they love to run the football, Max? Because I thought they did. And honestly, more than any player in this game, the guy I'm looking at for Auburn is Hugh Freeze. Max, their last two games, I know I've ranted about this before, but we're going to do it again. Their last two games, losses to Texas A&M and I'm forgetting the other one, not Mississippi State. What was the other one they lost to? I'm losing it because I was going into rant mode.
It was Texas A&M.
And Oklahoma. Sorry, it was Oklahoma. Sorry. There's all these SEC teams. There's so many of them. Against Oklahoma, against A&M. Those two games, close games, mind you, lost both by one score. They threw the ball 73% of the time. Top 5 rate in the country in that span. All of a sudden, after their first 3 games of running the ball and asking Jackson Arnold to be complimentary and throw it only when we have the looks and when we have one-on-ones with Cam Coleman and things like that, they just decided they were going to throw it every play. And it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me then. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me now, especially with all of the sacks that Jackson Arnold has been taking. It's been huge for their offense, losing all of these yards on sacks. Now, if you're going to rewind and get back to the foundation and you're going to run it and be balanced 50-50 at least, maybe even more run than pass, boy, I don't know if you're picking the right week to do it. Because the one constant we do have in this Georgia defense is just an outstanding run defense. So if there's anything that's never going to go away from Kirby Smart, boy, it is some fundamentally sound run defense and good tackling. Here we go, Max. Georgia's run defense. 3rd in run defense grade. 2nd in yards per carry. 1st in yards after contact per carry. 2nd in explosive run rate allowed. And the 4th fewest missed tackles in run defense in the country. Their second-level defenders, especially to me, C.J. Allen at linebacker, K.J. Bolden at safety. Dalen Everett out at corner has an 80 run defense grade. Kyron Jones, Ja'Cory Thomas, Justin Williams, they just have so many guys that can hurt you in run defense. They tackle really well. They're extremely sound. You're going to have a hard time now beating Georgia on the ground when you've gone away from the ground game the last 2 weeks. So now you got a lack of reps in there and a lack of rhythm, but you're going to need to do it, because do we really want Jackson Arnold dropping back another 50 times on this defense that's still very talented on the back end, despite Georgia's lack of pass rush? It gives you a chance, Jackson Arnold, with the Georgia's lack of pass rush. Maybe you don't take 10 he took against Oklahoma? 10 sacks it was? This is a weird one for Hugh Freeze, because to me, normally against Georgia, I think quarterbacks are beating them, right? Joey Aguilar, Ty Simpson. Honestly, Cutter Boley didn't even look that bad last week for Kentucky against Georgia. But Auburn needs to run the football. Problem is you run into a brick wall. So I think Hugh Freeze is actually the most interesting person on the field this Saturday in this game, just to see what in the world the offensive plan is, because I have not been a huge fan of it their last couple games. And the problem is he might have to go back to it in this game, because this is an absolute – I'm telling C.J. Allen, man, in run defense. It doesn't get much better than that, for sure.
That's why he might be a first-round pick in this draft this year. He's been a star linebacker for Georgia's defense this year. I'm looking at Georgia's offense in this game and whether or not Auburn can get after Gunnar Stockton. So Gunnar Stockton has been significantly better from a clean pocket than when under pressure this year. 82.1 PFF grade when kept clean this year, versus only a 48.4 grade under pressure, which is 88th in the country among all quarterbacks. But fortunately for him, Georgia's offensive line has done a good job at giving him clean pockets to work with. Right now, a 75.7 pass blocking grade as a team, top 30 in the entire country. But one potential issue for Georgia in this game is that both of its starting tackles in Monroe Freeling and Ernest Green III are both questionable for this game too. Auburn, meanwhile, they've pressured quarterbacks on about 35% of dropbacks, which is 35th in the country. But if they do not put Gunnar Stockton under constant duress, the Tigers are in serious, serious trouble in this game. Right now, Dalton, Auburn has the worst coverage grade in the entire Power 4 at 51.3. And the second worst explosive pass rate in the country at 20%. If Gunnar Stockton has clean pockets to work from in this game, he and Georgia's very talented stable of weapons could have a field day against this Auburn secondary.
And Stockton, he is a bit of a gunslinger sometimes too. He's not afraid of some of those tight windows and taking those deep shots downfield. I think there are going to be opportunities. I think it does start the same way for Auburn in run defense with Keldrick Falk and those guys up front, because they've been, aside from the A&M game where A&M just kind of out-physicaled them and ground them down, but Auburn's run defense has been really good.
Yeah.
And I just think you do want to attack this team on the outside. Georgia, I don't think they always want to throw on the outside, but at least Stockton has proven, especially in the Tennessee game, that he can do that if you need him to, right? And he can find some of those one-on-ones, and I think even his legs play a big factor in their offense as well. So I think you've got some weird dynamics here where I think each defense is going to try to make the other quarterback beat them, and that might be the part it comes down to, is just which team gets enough out of their quarterback, right? Who gets enough? And it's just you actually, I think that's the weird part of this, is you have two very similarly built teams, but one of them in Georgia knows how to win big ball games, and one of them in Auburn is really still trying to learn. And let's say this for Auburn too: they lose this game and they're 3-3. I mean, they had a lot higher expectations than that. And if they already have their third loss in 6 games, I mean, you could see Auburn at home come out and play with a real level of desperation.
Absolutely. So ultimately, Dalton, in the Deep South's oldest rivalry, the second longest tenure rivalry that we have in the FBS right now, who will win between Georgia and Auburn?
This is harder than it looks. I think a lot of people would look at this game and just go, well, of course, Georgia. But this rivalry on the road, again, as desperate as Auburn should be in this game, and I'll tell you what, my brother called me last night, and he was just ripping me. He is telling me for sure that Auburn's going to win.
Wow.
He for some reason,
Dylan making a call.
For some reason, he's all over it that Auburn's going to win this game. I'm probably going to regret it at the end of it, but I'm taking the Bulldogs.
Okay.
I'm going against him. I'm going Georgia 23-20. He tried to convince me for probably at least 30 minutes yesterday.
If Auburn wins, we are replacing Dalton Wasserman with Dylan Wasserman on the show.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in all likelihood. He tells me he
knows
is
more ball.
He probably more confidently than any of this that we talked about last night, because we talk on the phone for way too long sometimes.
That's me and my brother too.
He told me, he says, Auburn's winning this game.
All right.
I'm going to be the idiot and disagree with him. Georgia 23-20. I have a hard time trusting Auburn's offense.
Okay. So you're going against Dylan. I'll have to get Ben's picks every week and see what if I go against him in anything. We'll see.
There you go.
I will take Georgia to win this game as well. I have it 30-23. I don't think either run game will have much success in this game. The difference is, though, I trust Gunnar Stockton and Georgia's pass catchers. They might have a significant advantage over an extremely vulnerable Auburn secondary too. So this game could come down to who throws the ball better. And in that matchup against that Auburn secondary and against Kirby Smart and the way he coaches up those defensive backs too, I think Georgia has a big advantage over Auburn in that respect. So I think it will come down to the passing games, and I think Georgia will win 30-23 on the road, but it could get weird in the Deep South's oldest rivalry, as it usually does.
Just remembered something. Finally, last week, Georgia got a sack from a defensive lineman.
Oh, there you go.
It took them 5 games to get one, but they finally got a sack from a defensive lineman.
There you go. That's huge. Yeah. Well, both pass rushers probably need to play well in this game, too. So I got Georgia winning 30-23.